everybody, and welcome to today's stream. My name is Sarah Lean, and tonight I want to share some of my experiences and information about presenting to, the camera, presenting remotely from your home office, and also some of the things that I do with my live stream. And I just want to share some of the stuff that I've learned over the past year or so. I think over the last year I have done about 25 to 30 virtual meetups talking to this little plastic friend that is the webcam. And I want to talk to the community because there's been a lot of people who have reached out and asked me some questions about presenting and just doing this stuff that I'm doing remotely. So I'm hoping that it's going to be interactive. So please do hit me up with your comments and questions in the chat box, and I will try and pick them out during this live stream. I'm going to be live for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So yeah, please do interact with me and say hello. Hey Tom, thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for supporting this stream. So like I said, I've been presenting and recording from this very spot with this very webcam and this setup for the past year. And over the year, it has evolved. My setup, my equipment has absolutely evolved. What I use is a kind of Logitech C920 webcam. It's 1080p quality. Hopefully you can tell that it's good quality for this stream as well. I've got various different monitors. I'll be showing you those in a minute. I've got 3 monitors, so I've got one right in front of me, I've got one to my left, and then I've got my laptop, which is Microsoft Surface Book 2 to the right of me here. And then I use several lights to try and help make the picture clear, and so you can see me and you can see the detail. I've got a light here to my right, one in front of me, and then I use what we call here in Scotland the big light, my ceiling light up in the top. The ceiling light is actually a Philips Hue light bulb, so I can control the colours and play around with some of that. So I've got a bit of a blue tint tonight, so hopefully that's okay for everybody. Now, I want to try and take you on a tour around my room. I just don't want you to hear or see what I'm talking about and visualize it. I actually want to try something out. So what I've done with the software that I'm using to actually live stream, which is called StreamYard, is I've actually logged on to this mobile phone. And I'm going to switch the camera and give you a kind of view around my room. Hopefully it'll go well. This is the first time that I've ever did this live. I've used it sometimes to do recording, and it can be a bit tricky, and I have edited out the bits where I've not quite done it right. So bear with me while we swap cameras, and we'll give you a tour around the room to show you what my home office looks like and see the bits that you don't usually get to see in recordings. Please do stop me at any point for questions, and what I'm going to do right now is just add in this mobile phone, and then I will remove myself. So you should still be able to hear me. Hopefully you can. Give me a shout out if it doesn't sound right. But this is the view that I have when I'm presenting. So you can see here, if I point right, my camera is just above my monitor, and I use that for visual aid. So you can see I'm looking at that camera, and then that's where I focus on. And you can see it's kind of central in my monitor so that I have a good central point. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. What I've done with my screen setup is split it up. So I've used a tool called Power Tools, which is an open source tool that Microsoft have and is completely free. And it helps you split up your monitor, and you can have more than one window on it. So you can see here, I've got my StreamYard browser. I've got some notes on how to talk, my agenda, and the points that I want to cover off. And then I've got some space at the bottom if I want to have another notes, or maybe I want to have my Twitter feed up. And then you can see my other monitors are actually empty. I've got everything I need right below the eye of the webcam. And that way, if I'm having to refer to notes, or look at the Twitter stream, or look at the comments on my live stream, I'm making minimum movements down with my eye, or to the right or to the left, that's not necessarily distracting to my audience. And hopefully that comes across in some of the stuff that I've done, because I personally hate it when you see us live stream and someone is making massive head turns to the right or to the left and never looking at the camera. So that's massively distracting for me, and it's something that I always try and do. Now, for those that maybe watched other videos that I've done, you'll be used to my Rode NT USB microphone being the microphone that I use, and I have my headphones attached to that. Tonight I'm actually using a Jabra headset because it's wireless and I can move around this office without getting tripped up by wires. But usually that's the microphone that I use. When I pull it down, if I do it down now, when I pull it down, you'll notice that it actually blocks a bit of the view from the screen. So I tend not to use that monitor on my left because that blocks the view. So it can be quite distracting. But it's a good microphone, it's good quality, and lots of bits of software pick it up. Whereas not every bit of software actually picks up my Jabra headset. No idea why. Might be the Bluetooth, don't understand it. But the Rode one is plugged in. It's attached to my laptop docking station and it doesn't run out of power, which is what has happened with my Jabra headset a few times in meetings and recordings. So yeah, that's the setup I look at. And you can see right in front of me, I have that light I was talking about, and that illuminates me and tries to make me good lighting and make me look quite good. You'll notice here I've got a sound baffle board. This is very similar to the one that you're used to seeing behind me. And that again helps to capture the sound, make it less echoey, and just hopefully improve the sound quality. Now, if we turn to what is my right, when you guys and girls are watching me on the screen, you can see here I have another light. It's actually pointing to behind me, and it gives that natural bounce of light again to try and help make the picture very clear. And this is the third baffle board that I have in my home office. Another homemade one, slightly different pattern. I do love butterflies, and yeah, so I've got that one there. And again, it's about catching the sound. This office I'm in is a dog leg, almost L shape. So I've got that there to try and capture some of the sound that's bouncing that way. If we look behind me, what you don't necessarily see sometimes is my whiteboard with all my to-do list, my YouTube planning list, all that kind of good stuff. And if we just turn around, this was what you're used to again of seeing behind me. It's my sound baffle board. If you watch one of my weekly update videos, you'll have seen me talk about this and how that it's squidgy kind of foam that captures the sound. There's room behind it for the sound to kind of go all around it, go behind it, get captured. So yeah, that's what's behind me. So that's a little tour of my office. Let me switch back over. So if we switch back over to the normal camera, hopefully that was a kind of nice wee tour around my office. If you've got any questions about any of the stuff that I've talked about, or if you want to see something else, hopefully that was quite good. Like I say, I've never used that before, but hopefully it's a nice little feature to let you see around my office and see what it looks like. When I'm kind of recording, I try to keep the setup very clean. Hopefully you'll have seen that it is clean. I've removed all my chair, and so I have freedom of movement. I'm not tripping over anything. I don't have the chance to step back and catch a chair, and then that's my complete recording or live stream interrupted because I've hit a chair and it's distracted me or maybe even hurt me or anything like that. So my recording setup is very much like what you see here. I try and keep it very sterile and very neutral so that I have the freedom to kind of walk around if I need to. But if I'm tethered to my Rode microphone with a headset, I can't move around quite a bit. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense to you all. I sometimes use my webcam for recording. I obviously use that for live streams, but sometimes I also use my mobile phone to do recordings, and that's just because it gives me a little bit more angles, because I can put it on a tripod, I can move it around, I can hold it. You'll have seen some of my weekly update videos where I'm kind of using it as a vlogging platform, just to give different angles and different views as well. So I mix it up, try to use it, try to keep it all very interesting and not just the same thing anymore. Thank you, Tom, for your comments about the baffle boards. It was something that I loved doing and making. It's something you can make at home. It's just a wood outline, so a wood frame with the paneling, the kind of soft squidgy foam inside. You can get that at any kind of DIY store. I think both here in the UK and in America. It's called something different in America. I think the brand names are slightly different in America, but yes, it's a universal kind of sound insulation that you can get. And then I just got some cheap fabric to wrap it up in, and yeah, it gives me something nice to look at rather than the normal sound kind of boards or panels that you get. But yeah, that's that's kind of the equipment. Like you see, I have some lights around my room. Again, I've not got them necessarily pointing at me, quite dazzling. The one that is in front of me that you saw earlier on can dazzle me sometimes, and I do have a bit of I can get a bit of a headache sometimes if I'm presenting long within this room. But that's why I don't have two directly bouncing towards me. I think it would be too much. I think I would end up far too bright. I think I would end up even paler than I already am, being a Scottish. But I have the lights bouncing around, that different kind of cadence. And you do see the kind of depth here. You'll see the kind of light bounces off my stuffed toy collection, my mascots, my audience, and gives a bit of depth of field, I think, personally, to the room, and makes it a bit more interesting as well from the background. And the ceiling light that I didn't show you actually, is a hue light bulb, so I can change the colour that I want. I can change that colour, and like I said, I've got a bit of a blue tint on it tonight. I don't always pick the right tint. I think some of the videos that I have recorded have had the wrong colour shade in that hue light bulb. But again, it's all about experimenting. It's all about trying something new and just seeing how I can make these videos interesting. I am by no means a professional video editor, by filmer, sound person, absolutely not. But I've learnt over the last year, and I've tried various different things. So I've definitely had some successes and some failures along the way. Now, something to think about in terms of the sound. As I said, I've got these homemade baffle boards that help catch the sound. They help to remove that echo that I once had when I did first recordings here in this home office. I also think investing in some good equipment helps as well. So my Rode NT USB microphone is not the most expensive microphone in the world. There are probably more expensive ones, maybe even better ones. I do love the sound that it gives me. I love the flexibility of it. The fact that it's a USB microphone means that I can easily plug it into my laptop. It can be plugged into my docking station. I can move it around, albeit I kind of have it fixed right now on a mounting arm. As you can see, I can kind of move it in and out. I could detach that and take it anywhere. It's not massive. It would fit in a kind of backpack if I wanted to travel around with it, and it gives me that flexibility. I do love this Jabra headset, but I don't think it gives me the same sound, and you might probably notice that tonight on this live stream. But like I said, I wanted to use this so as I can move around and show you some things. But the sound isn't just about your recording equipment, it's often about the post editing as well. I use Adobe Audition to edit the soundtracks within all of my videos. So if I use my mobile phone, the video and audio track are combined. What I do, and it's a lot of work, or it's a lot of extra steps for me, is I actually take them apart. I put that video clip into Audition and it extracts the sound out of it. I then use Audition to try and take out any where I've been clicking my tongue, or if any pauses, or if I've maybe slapped the desk, or there's something been moving in the background, and then I remove all of that, or try to remove all of that. And then I use the kind of loud normalization, and I try and make the video or the sound of that video to the same level so that it's not too distracting for you. Or if you're listening in the headphones, You don't suddenly get my voice shouting at you in the background and it gives you earache. So I try and normalise that sound. Then I take that sound file that I've now created, which is a .wav file, and I take it into Adobe Premiere, and I take the video file, the original video file, I merge the new audio file together and sync them back up. It is a few extra steps, but I think it's worth it because it makes the audio listenable to. I think that's a word. And it doesn't give you a shock if you're, like I said, having the headphones on and suddenly my voice is far too loud and it comes across. I also release a lot of my videos, mainly the weekly update video, as a podcast, as a sound-only podcast. So I think it's important that I try and get the best sound that I can for those that are listening on the podcast version and maybe want to just have a listen to that, because there's nothing worse than listening to a podcast and the audio is rubbish, the audio is crap. You can maybe get away with it on video because sometimes that's more about the visual reference that you're getting. I know I watch some of the YouTube videos that I do, and if the sound's not great, it's not a big deal because, again, the quality of the picture or what I'm looking at is very good. So again, it's about thinking about your audience and thinking about how you would enjoy watching this content if you are a viewer as well. So you definitely got to wear a few hats if you're a presenter of remote content and creating content. Now, in terms of editing, like I said, I use Adobe Premiere Pro to do my editing, and that's where I do what's called rendering. Someone asked me the other night what rendering was, and for me, rendering is just taking all the bits of footage, whether that be the video and the audio or a screencast, and you're putting it together. When you put all that together and make one file that you can upload to, say, YouTube, that's rendering. That's just putting all that together. Lots of people enjoy using Camtasia, and I do use Camtasia occasionally. I use it mostly for screen capture, but I prefer Premiere Pro for editing. I've spent far too many years, I think, using Adobe Photoshop, and I'm much more comfortable with that layout, the way that the software's laid out, the menu system. There's lots of tutorials on how to do things and how to use that bit of software. So for me, it's been great. The learning curve is quite big in terms of using the software and figuring out all the different terminologies and understanding how some of the transitions work, where you can, do fancy things where if you're changing scene, it looks like you're actually flipping page in the video, like you do in a book. That's called a transition, trying to figure out how to use them, which transitions work when you're cutting between scenes, which ones actually require you to layer the video on top of each other. So there's a transition that I love called cross dissolve, and it kind of fades out one of the pictures and fades in the other one. And in order to get that work, I tried for ages putting two clips together and trying to put the transition between the two clips. I then discovered that you actually had to layer them. So there has to be an overlap of your two video clips that you're switching between before cross dissolve will work. So there's little nuances like that that can be frustrating, that can take you a little while to understand. But I've loved that learning curve. I've loved being able to produce the videos that I've done. Hopefully you're seeing all that hard work in the videos that I'm producing, but I definitely do want feedback. If you're not enjoying some of the stuff, some of the things that I'm playing with, then please do let me know, and I'll stop doing it, or I'll keep doing it, or I'll change it. I will learn something new. I'm constantly trying to evolve the journey of being a kind of YouTuber, also being a video creator in terms of work and stuff like that. So this is a continual journey. I'm happy to share any of the information that I have. I did a video a few months ago about how to present remotely, and that was an in-depth video talking about how I deal with nerves, how I set up my PowerPoint, again taking you through the screen layout, the devices that I use to switch slides. I actually use my Surface Pen. So if you've got a Surface Pen at home and you've never used it before to change slides, you can actually use the click button at the top to change your slides, and it's great for holding. I find that I am often flailing my hands around and doing things with presentations. If I'm holding this pen, I'm much more mindful of it, especially in case I do something wild with it and the pen goes flying, and that's just very distracting. So I talk about things like that and tips that I do, and how to deal with doing demos within presentations remotely. So definitely check that video out. It's on my YouTube channel. So if you're already on YouTube, then you can have a look. Hello, Anthony. You've just popped up while I'm speaking about demos and stuff. And absolutely, what you're asking here in terms of sharing demos and tools and screen resolutions, that is a big thing for a lot of us. I tend to put my machine down to 1080p. I know some of my colleagues put it down to a 1920 resolution. Either work in terms of sharing your screen. I always then put my browser, if I'm using, say, the Azure portal as a demo, I put my browser up to full screen and do that, and take away the taskbars and take away anything that might be distracting to the viewers. I've seen too many people, unfortunately, share their screen, one of those fancy, amazing wide screens that are, 40 inches wide and take up your whole room. No one can see the content if you're sharing that. It can be quite distracting and quite upsetting if you're a viewer and you're trying to squint and you're trying to look at it. So it might not be great from a presenter point of view that your screen is now going down to 1080p or 1920 resolution, but it makes it much more accessible for your end user. So definitely that's something to think about if you're sharing your screen. I think I said earlier on, I use Camtasia screen sharing to actually capture my screen recording if I'm doing recorded demos. But I've actually learned that there's a bit of software that's completely free called Logitech, and it's the capture tool, I think it's called, that you can actually install to help tweak your webcam settings and do exposures and stuff. But what's built into that software is actually the ability to record from your webcam, record the sound in your webcam, but also screen capture. So you can capture your screen with this bit of software free of charge from Logitech. I am in the middle of writing up a blog post and maybe doing a video on it, but that's a little tip. If you haven't got the money, or if you can't afford or you don't want to buy Camtasia to do the screen recording, then have a look at the Logitech capture software, because like I say, it can actually do a screen recording as well as tweak some of your webcam settings. Hopefully that's been a bit useful. I think I've rambled on for a good 20 odd minutes about my setup. But what I wanted to just do was share what my own home office looks like, let you see behind the scenes, the backstage view that I have when I am standing here talking to you and recording my videos. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. If you want to reach out to me, please do so. You can find me on Twitter. My username on Twitter is @Techielass, which is on screen right now. Please do reach out to me. Please do like and subscribe to my channel, as all the good YouTubers say. I look forward to joining you and seeing you in future videos. But thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. I've really enjoyed sharing my trip around my office and tips.